Right, well, hello, welcome back to yet another video from, well, who else? Bell the UCAT. So, what are we doing today? Well, as the title stays right in front of you, staring right at you, is 10 things to not do in UCAT. Right, the biggest dilemma is, or should I say, well, majority of us are literally, accept it or not, are guilty of committing one of these sins in our UCAT. Right, so what are these sins? Right here. So I'll be talking about all those really malpractices that people end up committing, which is that will literally affect or hit your score drastically. Right, and it's not one, it's not two, it's not three, I can guarantee you that. Well, silently you know deep inside, if you are somewhere starting the prep of UCAT, whether you're doing it, whichever year you're doing it, your first timer, or you are retaking the UCAT, majority of us would have an issue. Right, what's the issue? More than 5 of them out of the 10 that I'm stating here, perhaps at least 5 of them that you are guilty of committing a sin, which is number 1. What's the number 1? The number 1 is something to do with rereading. What do you mean by rereading is what somebody would say. Well, rereading, no matter, is one of the biggest skills, right? The whole of UCAT requires you to read. If you can't read, right, okay, you can't answer the question, right, so you have to read. Next, so what's the malpractice? What's the inefficient way of attempting UCAT? Majority of us here attempt to know worse for verbal reasoning, which is rereading it continuously. Now, how does it work? Now, the idea of this one is, so when you've got verbal reasoning, in verbal reasoning, what you've got? In verbal reasoning, you've got 11 passages, right? Now, that's what I'm about to say is a flawed strategy, and many people are guilty of that, cannot tell you, need to wake up, that's not the way to do it. 11 passages in verbal reasoning, each passage contains 4 questions. I mean, they're all together 44 questions, right? Okay, now watch this student. This particular student, when he or she attempts the verbal reasoning question, right, let's suppose there is question number 1, all right. There's question number 2, all right. There's question number 3, okay. And finally, there is question number 4. Right, so what is the malpractice? If this is what you're doing, I can guarantee many of us end up committing this is not the right way. Here we go. So what's happening? Now, there is a passage. What the person does is, a student does is, he or she ends up reading the passage. Oh, sorry, restarting again. Ends up reading the question, and that's what they've been taught in GCS. That's not their fault. That's how they've been taught. They read question 1 and start looking for the answer in the passage. Wow, read it once. Okay, never mind. Then again, what happens again? Now, go on to read the question number 2. Start rereading the passage again. Right, reading the passage the second time. Right, question number 3. Right, read the question. Then go back to the passage. Rereading the question again. Right. Question number 4, read the question. Then go back. Oh, I can tell you, and it gets worse. That means this particular candidate who is using this particular strategy of verbal reasoning, which is read the question and look for the answer. It gets worse for questions, which is to do with inference questions, questions to do with conclusion-based questions. Right, they might end up reading the passage perhaps 4, if not 5, maybe a minimum of 3 or 4 or 5 times. So that's not the way to do it. So when I talk about it in my programs, I said that's not the way to read. The limit is in verbal reasoning, you should read no more than twice. Now imagine if this person doing this one, which is read the question, read the question, look for the answer, read the question, look for the answer, read the question, look for the answer. Now what that person is, I can guarantee that I talk about in my previous videos, which is something I end up calling it, and also talk immense details in my UCAT program, something which we end up calling it a hit ratio. Now let's take the example of this particular student. This particular student who reads the question, looks for the answer, he's reading the passage. I can guarantee you this person cannot and will not be able to attempt no more than 20 questions. No more than 20 questions out of the 44 questions. That means this person has a hit ratio of 20 over 44, 55.55. 55%. That means that person has hit, seen, view, or attempted no more than 55% of the passage. This person hasn't even seen the remainder. That means 5 passages, 4 questions each. That makes it 20 questions all you've done. in that stipulated given 22 minutes. That person says, oh my God, I've got only attempted 55, but that person doesn't even realize that's the wrong way of doing it. Right, so again, what happens? Now, let's see. That person with 55% accuracy, mental maths, 55%, sorry, hit ratio. Now let's give him or her an accuracy. That person has an accuracy of 80%. If that person has an accuracy of 80%, that person ends up getting 80% of 20. Do I have 16? That person ends up getting 16 out of 44, an absolute blunder. And when the person says, why am I struggling with this particular section of UCAT? Well, let me tell you the truth. Right, okay, given that majority of throughout the years, the average score of verbal reasoning subsection is always the lowest. Why? Because of this particular blunder people commit. Now, with this particular 16 out of 44 raw score, this person would end up getting altogether no more than 550, 560 out of 900 in that particular subsection. Right. Oh, wow. That's a light bulb moment for many of us. That means if you read the question, look for the answer, you are wasting time. And simple rule is, verbal reasoning, no more than twice. Next, when I go to other subsections like decision-making, quant, situational judgment is even, should I say, a notch above, because you've got something around 69 questions. Each question should be done in less than 12, 15 seconds. Wow. That means if you are rereading the passage, again, your hit ratio for that big, giant, bulky, high BMI situational judgment would take a massive hit. Your score will be hit drastically in verbal reasoning. Your score is hit drastically in verbal reasoning. Your overall score in the UCAT will completely nosedive. Right, now let's get to the idea now. Why would this person read slow? Or why would this person reread? The biggest reason this person is rereading, there are multiple reasons. Number one, this person is a slow reader. Okay, why is this person a slow reader? Because his or her brain has not gotten used to reading excessively, fluently, and fluidly as well on screen. Most of us, our brain's been designed with the 15, 16 years of education that you've been doing all the way to A level. You've been designed to read on print, on paper. You've not been designed. Your brain has not gotten used to still reading large chunks of data, large chunks of information on screen. Right. So this person is a slow reader. Number one. Why is he a slow reader? Because the brain's not got used to it. Next, can this be overcome? Hell yes. How can that be overcome? This person who's a slow reader hasn't got the right technique. He is using the flawed strategy, or she's using the flawed strategy of question, answer, question, answer, or they read the passage, okay, look for the question. No, I might want to go back. So they're going back and forth. Whether you read the question first and look for the answer, or they read the passage, look for, and so on. They are continuously cross-checking with if that's the right answer. The person hasn't got the right technique in my courses that we offer. What happens? In these courses, I talk about multiple strategies that would overcome the slow reading issue. Next. The next one is when I go on to other subsections like DM, when we go on to other subsections like quants, what's happening? A person's reading the question twice, says, oh, I can't really get my head around this question. Let me reread it again. When this person is continuously rereading it, you are eating up the essential seconds. You are eating up the essential seconds. In verbal reasoning, if you look at that 44 question, 22 minutes. You've got 30 seconds to answer a question. 30 seconds per question, number one. Number two, DM, you get roughly around 1 minute, just about 1 minute, 60 seconds or 63 seconds or thereabouts. To answer each question. Now, if you're rereading, it gets worse even. So, for example, a question like when they do syllogisms. Wow. I've talked about it in my previous video. I go a lot in detail in the courses. How to prevent rereading. Right, I talk about different styles. So what's the technique? In my courses, I talk about many courses. One of them being slicing, framing, again bullets. So all these are ways of tracking. So, and then, why? Because altogether what happens is everybody everybody's a different learner. All of us are wired differently. Right? Those of us who do biology would know A-level biology says something about nervous system neurons. What about neurons? Neurons which wire together, fire together. That means this person who is continuously rereading the DM questions or the or DM questions or the quant questions. Next reason, why is this person a slow reader? Rereading. There is lack of practice. You don't essentially, if you think there's lack of practice, by doing 10, 20, 50, 60 questions, no, that's not going to get you to the 700 mark. You need to get an average score in the UCAT of 700. Average score of 700 throughout. There will be sections that can pull up your grade. There will be sections like verbal reasoning that can dump your grade, right? So lack of practice. You should need to do hundreds of questions because you need to, till the time it becomes a reflex action. As I said, nerves or neurons or nerves which fire together, wire together, you need to make it a reflex action, right? So this person is lack of practice. Next, another person, why else is he or she reading slow? Processing issues. What about processing issues? Processing issues is not no malfunction of the brain. It is you don't know how to essentially, like many people in chemistry, A-level chemistry, A-level biology, they are guilty again of, oh, how do I read? Oh, let me go. Right, you got essential time in A-level GCSE, right? That's time is not an issue in A-level. It's only UCAT, right, which is an issue. So, right, here we go. So, in here, rereading should be a big fat no. You cannot afford to non-stop reread it. What's the bullet point? For verbal reasoning, no more than twice. Multiple strategies are there. Talk about it. It'll be a long-ended video. Don't want to make it extended. I'll start talking about it. I discuss it in great detail in the different courses. Sorry, apologies. Might sound advertising. I need to quit advertising this. Right, okay. Next, so slow reading. Number one, technique issues. They don't know how to read in UCAT. Right, how to read online. There's a different ball game altogether. Lack of practice. Person has not sufficient practice in D and quants, situational judgment, anything. Oh, it needs to make it a reflex action. Processing issues, which is they don't know what actually to read, how to vary the speed of reading or reading, right? Next, so that's the biggest thing. I would say 90%. Sorry to say, I'm not trying to accuse you, I'm trying to nudge you in the right direction, which is 90% of the candidates are guilty of reading the passage or the question multiple times. Rereading done. So big fat no. The next one is stickiness. What is stickiness? In my courses I talk about a strategy called skip and dump. You heard me right. I talk about a strategy of skip and dump. What is skip and dump? Skip and dump is there will be a question which you need to know which question to skip and come back to it later, and which question to absolutely dump it. I hope you know the whole graph of UCAT is the style of difficulty or intensity of questions is not linear. Maths, it is not linear. Again, you need to know there will be some speed bumps is what I call it. There are certain speed bumps. Now, in this one, so skip question, what happens? Skip question is, for now, I'm flagging, and I might want to come back to it later. A dump question, I'm going to dump it out, I'm not bothered about it. Right? There are certain, so you need to know, how would you know which question to skip, which question to dump? That's what I'm going to talk about. So there are different strategies on it. Next. Now, altogether, imagine, so when you're dumping a question or skipping a question or dumping a question, how would you know which question to dump? Again, I'm just giving you pointers. I talk about the whole thing of gems. The gem strategy is what I call it in my UCAT courses. So what is a gem strategy? In the gem strategy, imagine yourself in a gold or a diamond mine. You are mining for gems, diamonds, gold. You need to first attack those questions, which, again, you can straight away process it. You know, are you familiar with the style of question? Bang! You need to hit accuracy. Speed and accuracy are two of your besties, best friends in UCAT. You get these two guys on your side, you smash the UCAT inside out. Right, so stickiness. So don't get stuck onto a question. People in GCSE, they follow the GCSE strategy. Right, they sit down there, they sit on the verbal reasoning, sit on quant, sit on decision making, which is thinking about how to answer this question. No, by the time you realize it, the clock's ticking, buddy. The clock's ticking. Since the clock's ticking, wow, you're wasting time. Really? Okay. Talking about time, that brings me to. So you need to know what question to skip. Come back. Let it dump me. It's absolutely dumb. Not even bothered about it. I might as well invest my time in a better question. Right? Just like in life business, time is money. In UCAT, time is marks. So, one more time, like in life, business, time is money. In UCAT, time is marks. So, you need to talk about it. Right, that thing's talking about on the subject of time. That's stickiness done. Stickiness done. Moving on to clock pressure. What is clock pressure? Again, another one. Clock pressure is is a skill which has to be accumulated over time. What happens? Everybody's guilty. Observe yourself while you do a mock test. Observe yourself while you do a practice subsection time test. Right. what happens? I can guarantee you that clock pressure is when you've got the last few seconds of the minutes left. The last few minutes or seconds left, your corner of your eye is constantly, after every few minutes or seconds, you're constantly, some people are throughout the subsection constantly glancing with the corner of your eye on the top right-hand corner of the screen, which is how many seconds, how many minutes left. Now, I can guarantee you that adds on to the anxiety. Observe. What do you observe? In the last few minutes or seconds of your, when you are left with 2 minutes, or anything on the benchmark is 2.5 minutes. The moment you've got 2.5 minutes left, that's when you see anxiety builds up. Anxiety builds up, what happens? Brain starts to freeze, crumble, tumble. Now, when brain starts to freeze, crumble and tumble, what happens? Processing abilities take a hit. Processing abilities take a hit. You have to end up rereading the question. Once you reread the question, accuracy takes a hit. Accuracy takes a hit. My overall marks take a hit. Sorry, UCAT potential, UCAT prospects begin to diminish. So clock pressure, again, as I talk about it, clock pressure is more to do with how I call it in my course something called clock management, time management, anxiety management, mind management. Mind management brings us to the next one, right? So you need to have strategies in which I just in the courses I say, how do I manage the time? How do I manage the time? For that, I end up talking about, again, another slicing strategy. So we said, slice, slice, slice. So you need to know what to slice, right? So clock pressure, again, which is to do with the ticking bomb, which is the clock on the top right-hand corner of your screen. Do not let it disturb your mental balance. Might sound drastic, but that's the way it is. It does affect everybody's performance, because up till now, let's admit it, not many of us who are watching this video have, if you're A-level, you've never sat an exam which is timed. You've never sat an exam which gives you in excess of 250 questions to be attempted in less than 116 minutes. 115 minutes. Oh, 150? I thought it's 2 hours. Yes, but people, there's a 1 minute break and a 2 minute break in between every subsection when you hop from one section to the other. Right, so think about it. Slicing is the one. If you're not enrolled into my UCAT course, find your own solution. Right, okay, now brings us to the big one. Mental stamina. Mental stamina. Mental stamina, just like physical stamina for an athlete, physical stamina, for anybody who's into fitness would know. When you start off first, this is exhaustion. It's something I end up calling in my courses called mental fatigue. Everybody needs to know their limits of mental fatigue. And how do I improve mental fatigue? Like in biology, again, you talk about certain things, which is something to do with slow twitch and fast twitch fibers, something to do with muscle, something to do with lactic acid, right? Anaerobic respiration in party animals, right? So mental stamina is what we talk about. So mental fatigue. So what happens? Mental fatigue sets in. When you do a question, I can tell you that many of us will end up feeling exhausted after attempting these 44 questions in the verbal reasoning, and they say, oh my God, mental fatigue started setting in. And by the way, most of the students who are attempting this verbal reasoning and doing the wrong strategy, they're already exhausted because they've done 20 or 25 questions, rereading the passage multiple times. So this person or candidate who's done 44, he or she says, oh, I'm feeling exhausted, drained out completely, I want to get done and out with it. Oh, wait a minute, there's another bullet coming your way. Decision making comes next. Then you've still got a long way to go. You've got quants, then you've got situational judgment. Oh dear, right. So when this person gets mental fatigue, again, his ability to process information, absorb, recollect information takes a hit, ends up rereading, accuracy takes a hit. Mental stamina, improve your mental stamina. How do I improve mental stamina? I'll talk about again, which is how to preserve mental fatigue, how to make the most of the 1 minute section, 1 minute which is given to us as I hop from one subsection to the other. Right, okay, so mental stamina comes a lot, improves a lot with practice. I cannot emphasize enough your ability to do. Some people say, all right, I've done the subsections, right, straight on, match mode. You can't be match mode, buddy. If you can't be match mode means you have to practice full tests, as many as you can, Ready? Okay, so that brings us to mental fatigue, finito. Right, moving on to my next one now. The next one I'm on about is calculation. So I've done this, I've done clocky, the time bomb, I've done the mental stamina. Moving on to calculations. Right, guys, stop obsessing about a calculator. Stop obsessing about using your on-screen calculator. I hope you know brain is sharper than the calculator. Try doing it for yourself. Try doing it. So this person with calculations, I hope you know each and every key stroke matters. Each and every key stroke sucks away the essential seconds from your UCAT.
So you need to realize which one. I'm not saying absolutely cut off on calculations, using usage of calculator. You need to lay a lot of emphasis on mental maths. This person who's using a calculator, why is he or she using a calculator? He or she does not know the different techniques of speed maths. He or she does not know the different techniques. Again, I call these people who are calculator obsessed, call them calculator addicts, which is for every small minor thing they end up pulling out the calculator. So speed maths they don't know. They don't really know what are the different shortcuts. If you're not enrolled in any of my videos, so I talk a lot about it, so you'll have to figure it out, which is the different shortcut, or a few of the videos which I've uploaded on YouTube. Just watch them. So shortcuts, you don't know the shortcuts. You again are trying to look for completely fully baked answer. No, you don't necessarily. In some of those questions and calculations, you don't even work it out. Yes, you heard me right. Some calculation questions, DM quant sections, calculations come in DM. Again, person pulls out the calculator. Calculation comes in quantitative, of course, silly. Next, another one comes in, which is to do with verbal reasoning. Not too many. No, not too many. There will be some percentage ones. One of the data-oriented questions. Where he's a TFCs, true, false, can't tell. So yes, altogether, they don't know the shortcuts. They are again using half-baked reasons. If I'm adding, I know I can add it this one. I talk about how to find the mean. What are shortcuts of finding the mean? You don't necessarily need to add them up, divide by the total number. There are shortcuts to each and everything. Watch my videos. If you ever managed to watch any of my videos, you would have seen when I do quant section, I always give you a strategy, unconventional way of doing it. Because one of those, I remember reading a comment. It says, "I can tell that you have a dislike for lay methods." Of course, buddy, I definitely have a dislike for lay methods. If something can be done in UCAT in life in less period of time, why bother? Right, save time. Time is money. Time is marks in UCAT. Right, so stop obsessing about calculator, work on your speed maths, work on shortcuts. I keep on telling you, emphasis on these. Ready? Okay. Next one. Strengths and weaknesses. Right. Google, I'd like you to search for yourself or Google it for yourself, what I call, every time we reach the middle of this one, strengths and weaknesses, I ask people to construct something called SWOT analysis. I want you to Google this word, SWOT analysis. What is SWOT analysis? Making your strengths, weakness, opposites and threats. You would not even know what your strengths and weaknesses are, and it's very easy to drift away, start doing questions which are your strengths. If you're one of those early starters, hopefully you are, I talk about a late start. If you're one of the early starters, you should straight away bang on focus on your weakness. Weakness is what will push up your grades. Strengths and weaknesses is what will again help you in time management. Weakness is what will help you in not getting stuck. Overcome your weakness, make that your strength, right? So strengths and weaknesses. So when you practice, you don't necessarily, if you are good in that section, subsection, or a question type of a question in that subsection, you should not even waste time. Attack those questions which you are not that good at. Ready? Strengths and weaknesses, SWOT analysis. You should know what your strengths and weaknesses are. Right, done. Moving on to my next one. Plateau. Wow. When you look at a plateau, what is a plateau? Plateau is when your curve begins to plateau. Like in biology, most of us would know, this is how the curve is for enzyme activity. This is how the curve was. GCSE photosynthesis. Oh yes, these are how, again, the rate of the reaction begins to plateau. If you look at equilibrium reaction, oh yes, that's how an equilibrium reaction, KPKC and so on, if you know what I'm talking about. So altogether, each and every graph that I can imagine, visualize, many of the, whether you're doing physics, chemistry, biology, there's always this graph. You are bound to hit a plateau. I've never come across a student who has not hit a plateau. What is a plateau? This is the actual crux of life. Any skill which you develop, be it any skill, I'm not talking about academics, sport, learning a new language, learning a new instrument to play, you will have to hit a plateau. When you start practicing, whoa, I see the drastic results, graphs going up. Suddenly, like in biology, we say there's some limiting factors. The problem is you don't know your limiting factors. Don't know. Why do you not know your limiting factors? Because you've not done the SWOT analysis. So that means you will end up hitting a plateau. How do you overcome the plateau? Well, you will keep getting the result that you're getting till the time you don't change it. You have to have a different input to get a different output. If you're using the same old strategy, wrong way of reading, wrong calculation, stickiness, mental stamina, clock pressure, wow, you're bound to, you need to figure out what's your plateau for you to overcome this limiting factor. And many people who don't know, their grades begin to drop, and that's when they give up. If you know your strengths and weaknesses, bang, plateau you can overcome. Right, late start. Please, let's make it official. You might hear online how many days, weeks, seconds, minutes required. People say it's 3 weeks to crack the UCAT. Absolutely bonkers. No, sorry. Exceptions do exist. Don't get me wrong. Exceptions definitely exist. But you cannot double that. You have to have a minimum of 6 weeks. Minimum of 6 weeks to crack the UCAT. I'm saying minimum. So that means if you are starting early, there's a drawback of starting late. Starting late is it is a biological thing, people. As I say to you, neurons are involved. You are training your brain. You're literally retraining your brain how to read. You are retraining your brain how to do calculation. You'll be doing GCSE A-level. Calculator obsessed. Calculator addicts. So late start, 6 weeks is what you do, right? In case there are 6 weeks, right, I use something called a crash course for those people who start a little bit late. That crash course can pump up your grade, definitely. But I cannot promise with a crash course I can get you, if you are running around in 500s as your average score, I can't guarantee you I could push you up in 700. I can guarantee you in my crash course I can push you up to 680, some 650. 700 is takes a little bit extra. Time has to be on your side. Right, so late start. So next, when you book when you book your test, try not to book too early. 3 weeks is the biggest myth. 6 weeks, by the time after 3 or 4 weeks you know where do you stand, then you book it. Don't book it too late, because there might be a possibility that there won't be any dates available. Right, dedication. Wow, that's the biggest one. If you ever want to, if you really want to do UCAT, I shouldn't be even talking about this. All those viewers who are watching this, dedication. Maxwell-Boltzmann distribution curve. In the UK, there are 38,000 people every year sit for this UCAT. You heard me right. 38,000 candidates appear for the UCAT. Include Australia and New Zealand. There are 15,000, 15 or 18,000. Let's take it 15,000. Anytime in life, business, economics, chemistry, Maxwell-Boltzmann distribution curve is only those particles who have an energy greater than activation energy help me in a reaction. Those of us who know what I'm talking about, you know this, Maxwell-Boltzmann distribution curve. Anytime in life, there's always a 10%. Any people who are the movers and the shakers in life, business, look around you, family, the movers and shakers, only the 10%. The rest of them are 90%, depends on where do you belong. Are you the 90%? Are you the 10%? If you are the 90%, you don't even bother watching my videos. That's not going to help you. You decide where you belong. If you've got the dedication, you have to sacrifice these next 7 to 8 to 9 or 10 weeks. Your life is going to launch, skyrocket. Dedicate wholeheartedly 10%. So you decide, are you really the part of the 10%? It is these 10% who make your life. It is these 10% who actually are serious about achieving, aspiring, getting to the goal. 90% don't. They are doing UCAT because their buddy's doing UCAT. They are doing UCAT, they said, they're not too... Are you one of those types? Hopefully not. Whoever you are watching this video, which is hopefully not one of the types that, okay, if I don't get my medicine, I might fall to pharmacy. If I don't get medicine, I might go to blah, blah. I've got plan B. No, guys. Give it all with no plan B. Plan A only. Ready? Right. So dedication is what is. People lack dedication. People lack focus. No distractions should be there. So you decide, am I wholeheartedly, ask yourself, do I really want to do medicine? If you are, this is for you. Comparison, never ever compare your results. There are smart chaps, smart students, boys and girls, but don't compare yourself. He or she might be, so don't also undersell this. Oh no, he's or she's a clever girl or clever boy. He or she might be good at. You will definitely. I can't compare. I can't really reach his. Oh no, you're underselling yourself. You already lost the game before you actually stepped into the match. Oh, talking about the match. When you go out to watch a match, only the 10% of the people are playing. Are you one of the spectators or are you one of those players? Only in tennis, whether you watch tennis, football, cricket, whatever you play, only 10%. Or for tennis, 2 people play the game, thousands watch them. Are you the 2 people? Are one of the 2? 22 people in football, cricket play the game. Are you one of the 10%? Or 22 people, or that's not even 10%. Thousands of people watch the cricket match. Don't be a spectator, be a player. Why comparison? I said no comparison. Don't compare. He or she, his brain is wired differently, right? So you go on your journey. It's very different compared to the others. Right, guys, comparison is a big no. Righty, I think so. We're done, and let's call it a lesson. And that's the end of this video. Hope to catch you soon. Thank you very much for all the comments. Thank you very much. Hopefully, if you enrolled in the course, I'll see you soon. If not, well, I'll see you in the next video. And thanks very much. Ciao, ciao. Bye for now. Cheerio.